Ooh. Hello. Gwen just popped in the chat and said too early, and now I'm not sure uh, what what that was about because I think we're 1 minute late. Anyway, hey everybody. You're watching the Daily AI Show. I am here. I am Beth. Jyunmi is with me. We might have some other folks drop in, but this is our Friday discussion where really anything goes, and we're going to be sharing our latest rabbit holes and hope to hear a little bit about yours as well. Jyunmi, you were just talking about new AI awards, media awards. If games can be considered media, do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, I got an email today that was announcing something called the Chroma Awards. Um, they said they're launching on the 27th. So obviously this had been in planning for a while, and I just got my news now. But essentially, it's a collection of different companies that are putting on this, and these include 11 Labs and FAL and FreePick and CapCut, and so they're presenting this, and then with association of a lot of other AI generation for video and images and sound and music and things like that. And so my first initial reaction when they were talking about an AI film festival or AI show, I was just thinking it's like, oh, maybe this is a Runway thing, because Runway's been running it for a couple of years now, right? They run an AI film festival.
And it's this weekend, the 48-hour film festival for Runway. I think there are multiple a year, but there is one this weekend.
Yeah. So I thought, oh, this must be one of the Runway things or another one. No, this is definitely after reading through everything, they're going to have this Chroma Awards is going to have meetups in New York, LA, Tokyo, Paris. They're going to have a film screening from Wonder Labs or Wondershare on the 27th, which highlights, of course, all the technology and all the companies who put on the event, like 11 Labs. But there's no mention of Runway whatsoever. Like everything in there, nothing says Runway. And now that you tell me that the Runway, one of their festivals is happening this weekend, I mean that the timing, the timing is too good. So we have reached a point where now we are having competing AI in film media in general, film competitions or film festivals and things like that. So just an indicator that none of this is going away. All these kinds of things, these film festivals and these events help legitimize the creator or artist aspect of this, as well as promotes the companies and the products they sell and things like that. So I thought that was interesting to come across this morning, and I'll definitely be interested in checking it out. Apparently the AI film screening is happening online for free, so you just got to register. So I'll be checking that out and see where things are going. The last couple of film festival entries, or at least the top entries that I saw from Runway, they're all mixed use. There isn't none of the winners were 100% AI generated. They were generated for certain shots or certain scenes. There's a requirement of so much footage or basis of the imagery or generation has to be done, through AI and things like that. But all of the films are still squarely in the realm of abstract or are a artistic look at things. Things you could bring up would be performance pieces or music videos, things where your ideas can be malleable and amorphous and those kinds of concepts. I was last year. I was really impressed with a couple of the top contenders because they had a fairly strong narrative through line, and that's kind of my bar when it comes to AI generated film is how well of a narrative can you tell? Uh, how how strongly aligned with, we'll say, a traditional drama or comedy or scripted, scripted narrative be. We're talking about lines delivered. We're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
music, soundtrack, all of these kinds of things. Can you make a quote unquote traditional film with AI generated content? I still haven't seen that. I've seen small bits. I've seen aspects that could be used. I've seen filler things. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Adobe stuff is really interesting in terms of, oh, we got to fix this issue. So when they say fix it in post, the Adobe AI generated stuff I think is going to really shine in that
Mm-hmm.
way. Oh, let's fix this little thing. Oh, let's cover this up. Or we have a gap here. Oh, okay. Well, can we just create a cutaway that takes you from one scene to another? And that right now is actually where we're going to see where I see a huge jump in the AI generated film side of things, is because all of the biggest tech in AI film or AI video, like VO3, which took the world by storm, is you can give it your source starting image and your source ending image, and you can use
Mm-hmm.
something like Flow, or there's multiple tools out there which will generate in between the two. So
Right.
starting on one frame and ending on one frame. That's the exact same thing as what Adobe Filler is supposed to be able to do that. Now, I haven't recently seen any news where they said, "Oh, we're integrating VO3 as part of our package," but Runway and Sora were supposed to be models that were relied on in the Adobe package, be on their own, Firefly and stuff
Right.
like that, which
So
does remind me about the news bit about Runway offering VO3 now as their model, as a model from an external model, which is dramatically different than what they were doing before.
right.
So I'm hoping this is a good sign. There are some people who are saying that's a bad sign, because it means their current models aren't a competing model. This is just so much better.
Well,
But I see it as a platform shift.
so there was a conversation happening. Um, I think on Paul Reitzer's podcast, The Artificial Intelligence Show. If not, it's one of the other Artificial Intelligence Show podcast flavors. But the conversation was about how high the bar has gotten to compete as a um, as a company that has developed its own model, right? Because you have two things that cost money in this context. The first thing that costs money is to serve AI to people and to have an interface with your models. And the second piece that costs money is to make the model, to continually generate new models, update the models, those kinds of things. And it makes sense to me that if Runway is now moving toward wanting to be like the destination place that you could get access to the other models, that's like a huge cost savings, right? For them in terms of development. It's not a cost savings because VO have, but VO3 specifically have kind of across the board been incredibly expensive to use compared to some of the other models. So if Runway is allowing generations from that they'll pay for a certain amount, that isn't a cost savings. But if they just let you bring your AI generated video in and include it as part of what they're splicing together with AI, that's a great move, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Runway is pivoting to show that they are a platform. They're not.
Yes.
We're not just the world models that we're building. Um, excuse me. I think the how they implement it, how it's rolled out, if they complicate it too much,
Yeah.
I think that will be a detriment. Like, oh well, if you're using this model, then you got to pay this other thing, and this does not include it into this subscription price. One of the biggest sellers for me on Runway is they have an unlimited ideation plan, essentially,
Yes.
where you're on the slow request server line, right, and you can only output at like 720 or something like that, which is, but you can do it unlimitedly. It doesn't take away from your credits,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's amazing because every single other subscription plan I've seen is, here's the base plan to access the platform, and then you pay for your credits, or you're buying a bunch of credits. That's how
Right.
those kinds of things. So by understanding who their customers are going to be, the creatives, ideation's a huge part of that. And if you're already offering, um, if you're already offering a suite of tools, and remember, Runway is a platform of tools.
Yes.
All the
Has
big
always
buzz is
been.
about their Gen video models, but it's always been. They've always had, color grading. They've always had remove background. They've always had all of these post production tools that you can
Mm-hmm.
apply to your content or to your video. And so now, having building upon that, Act One, Act Two is a build upon that. Aleph is or Aleph is a build upon that, and it's all building a larger and larger platform. So them understanding that you need to do a certain level of ideation, you just do it slower, right? You put it on their slow servers, lower priority, all those kinds of things. That's perfectly fine, because even that being, okay, here's my prompt, this is how I'm manipulating it, let's go for version 3 or version 37,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's still far more valuable and far faster of a process than it is to, I need my team to ideate. Okay,
Right.
cool. I'll see it in a week,
Right.
right? As they ideate those changes. Whereas I can see it in the same day or in 20 minutes or 30 minutes, which is, for me, that's a huge get. That's a huge win. So I just hope I see this same kind of format for other tools.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there
Well,
was a, go ahead.
it is. We were talking about that. It is kind of the Midjourney model, because Midjourney will let you edit any image that you want, right? Like bring the image, upload it, and then use Midjourney's AI to generate, expanding it, change something in it, right? Like you can use Midjourney as a generation tool for if you just want like a straight creator relationship with Midjourney, but then there's a ton of other things that you can do with it. And like this seems kind of similar in the runway piece, and also because both of these are only focused on the art form that they're focused on, right? Google has a video department. Um, uh, like the other models are trying to do like Leonardo, like models that are image based are sort of getting into AI, sort of getting into video a little bit. But I would still use, like, I might generate a segment of video in Midjourney if I were doing a very specific Midjourney-ish shot, but then I would take it out of Midjourney to create a video. I probably wouldn't create the full video in Midjourney, even though it has start and end frames, unless I was going for that specific art form video like you were talking about.
Yeah, I will admit I do need to dive a little bit back into Midjourney. There, and I think this is shared by all of our viewers in our chat. there's just so much. There's
There
only so
is.
many hours in the time that it's like, oh, I need to brush up on this new tool. Okay, well, how do I optimize my output for this thing? And it really comes down to a matter of just allocating the amount of time, right? Everybody's got 24 hours in the day. 2/3 of that should be, or at least a third of that should be for sleeping, you know, and things like that. But yeah, I see your point with Midjourney, that kind of offer and being replicated by Runway. I just would love to see it in these other large tools, or at least
Ah,
the leaders, right? The ones who have the market share or mind share, the ones who have the funding, they're, with the huge valuations, have that ideation version. Um, you
mhm.
know, a year ago, maybe, I don't know, this is AI time, so it was probably a couple of weeks ago, but I think a few months ago, Sam
72 hours
Edwards,
ago.
I know, Sam Altman made a side comment tweet about moving to credits for
Yes.
ChatGPT, right? And I was thinking, this got me thinking. It's like, well, if I pay my subscription price and I want to try out the API, can I have a portion of that subscription price
Mm,
be credits to try out API versions? Or can I have a set of credits that come with my don't take anything away from my current subscription, add a number of credits that I can then try stuff out, as opposed to them doing, oh, every week you get X amount of this or that. Because it would be nice if I could do, maybe all I need are 10 tests with GPT-5 Pro, and to compare it to what I'm getting out of GPT-5 Thinking or GPT-5 and that
right.
kind of thing. And I just want to do my tests. And we're like, okay, cool. Here's your little test pool, whether it be API tests or whether it be here's here's your special section where you can go and choose your model or things like that. Now, me personally, I think I probably would be fine with just one a day on some of those really expensive models or whatnot, what they want to keep in their pro tier. But
Right.
yeah, maybe a cache of credits to spend how I want, and then everything else staying the same.
So it's interesting because Perplexity actually does that.
Okay.
And when you have Perplexity Pro subscription, I can never remember whether Pro is the big subscription. No, that's Max, or it's Pro for somebody else. Perplexity's $20 a month subscription US does include $5 a month of API credits. So you can actually go and test things. And
Oh,
that's
perfect.
sort of what I was saying or thinking when you said floating the idea of credits. Well, those have always existed. They're just called API when you have to like bring your stuff. But yes, it's outside your subscription. It definitely is. Karl, do you get API credits with a ChatGPT Pro?
Nope.
No, you just get unlimited of all the stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
you still have to pay for all the fun stuff that you're planning to. Although they did update the responses API yesterday with the
Yes.
connectors, which is so really, really good. Although they're I don't know why. I had a conversation with somebody on LinkedIn about how Claude's ability to connect their MCPs is not limited, but ChatGPT's is just, you have to jump through so many hoops for their custom connectors, and then it's only get or read. You don't actually can take any action. So I was like, well, that kind of defeats part of the purpose of it. I don't know why that's the case.
Yeah, that
So
doesn't make sense.
yeah. And I don't know if it's like uh I'm not sure, is it liability for, because you can easily connect an MCP that writes your email, like even like let's take email, write your email, like actually do stuff, take action in your whatever account. But like in even the Zapier MCP, you can't really connect it easily to just normal ChatGPT. Even that alone, because Zapier MCP opens up the door for a lot of things without having to, go into your JSON config and having to add new MCPs. So that's it's super, super strange.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to well, a couple of things. From an IT perspective, it's probably a legacy systems that are being replaced, and because foundational AI models or model creators or companies are focused on doing model stuff, the other stuff are secondary. You have secondary teams that'll handle that. But I think the main thing is something along the lines that you were saying in terms of liability or anything like that. They want to make sure that when you've gone through the process, it's as secure or as stable of a connection as possible, because of who their customers are, right? You've split into the enterprise side, which you got to make sure that all SOC 2 and all that stuff is handled. But on the consumer side, once they want it to be a set it and forget it, and they probably just their system has just not been created that way. Whereas Claude was created for the coders from the beginning. So when they instituted MCP, when they instituted integrations, when they started doing Claude code and realized that Claude is definitely being used for, coding as a primary model, then that's where their focus of build goes. Right. So if you know what you're doing, you're perfectly fine. Here you go. It's all open. It's easy. It's your responsibility to work out you're the programmer, you're the coder. It's your responsibility to work out the security for that stuff. Right. And if that's a concern, then that's not that's your responsibility, or that's your kuleana. So it's not it's completely different view, I think, or mindset than what OpenAI, how they look at it, right?
Right. Well, and that's sort of what we're seeing. We're seeing that people who have a background in customer service are able to skate around some of the things that the people who have a background as like AI research labs run into face first, right? In terms of the GPT-5 rollout that that people are still talking about. And in fact, there was a question in the community this week about GPT-5 generating files, right? GPT-4o you could ask for, like, give me a file for this. It would launch the code writer and it would generate a Google Doc or something like that. But 5 seems to be a little more I don't know what you would say. 5's like desire to help you is pumped up a little higher than its desire to write the code and actually give you the thing. So it will say, here you go. And I've found that in the API too. Like, I've had 5 as my thing for Perplexity, and I've had a similar thing like Perplexity's, here you go, the CSV file is right here. I'm like, it's not right. Like, what are you doing? So, put it in a code block. Like, you have a bunch of options for me.
Yeah. So my experience has been slightly different, right? And I think that question came in from Gwen and Gareth about GPT-5 lying. And number one is I believe it's a scope issue. If it's overcomplicated in multiple, like you're doing multiple asks, that's definitely going to be a thing where GPT-5 or ChatGPT in general just says, okay, I'm just going to placate you. because I've hit a wall and you still want me to do this thing. So here it is, as I, Homer Simpson back into the hedge, right? The luck that I've had recently is I've created a project. And then in the system instructions for the project, I explicitly say what kind of files are going to be created. And here are your source files, right? Because the project gives you source files. And so the implicit instructions are you're going to create this file and you're going to create this file. And this is how you're going to generate the content for the file. And so that has been pretty consistent. So I don't know if maybe it's the structure of the system instructions that I give for the project, or or it's the environment that it's a project as opposed to through the normal chat interface, if that's a different like system card on the back end. That I'm not exactly sure, but I have had consistent. I built a certain project to do a specific task, and it's able to output me 2 files into a zip. They're text files. Maybe that helps for complexity, and it's able to zip it, and it does it consistently. The issue I have is the session window is so short that unless I'm checking on it constantly, then I'm gonna miss it, and then I have to ask output again, and it goes through this whole process, and things like that. So, and the reason why this is an issue is because the complexity of my ask, it can take anywhere from 1 minute to 7 minutes, depending on, the amount of files that it's checking, my knowledge base, all of those kinds of things in the project. And so I'm going to go do something else because I'm not going to stare at the screen for a minimum of a minute and a maximum of like 7 minutes. I've seen this range, right? And so when I come back, if the timing's not right, I have to do the whole process again. So now I basically give myself a 2-minute timer. It's like, oh, I should go check it again. I know it's weird. It's weird behavior that you have to change in yourself to get the output from your tool, which is supposed to help you, but you're adapting to it as opposed to it adapting to you.
So it's to Karl's point. Like if the connectors were really helpful, you would be able to say, and write it to my drive that you can read and get stuff from. Right? Like, thank you for making the file. What do you think I'm going to do with it? I'm going to save it somewhere. And if you have access to where I want to save things, can that not just be added to the code that you just wrote to generate the format?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes back to my where's all the Ajax Web 2.0 things that already exist? Like, why doesn't copy paste be a thing, right? It exists. You can do it. It's just a function call. Just do it, right? Same with the download. It's like, yes, put this into a zip file and download it, and then that's a thing that your browser recognizes as a function, and it'll bring up the save dialog. Every other Web 2.0 website can do that, right?
Yes.
So I know. So it's really strange that they don't integrate until the agent can do it all itself. Why don't they just since they use Python for creating tools on the fly, why don't they just use the existing Web 2.0 technologies to fill in the gap until the agent can do it all by itself? I don't know.
And this is what I think is likely to start to happen. We talked a little bit about the rollout of GPT-5 was for the larger user base, not the first adopter, tech savvy, I know how to use the different models user base. And are we moving to a time when we are creating our own models, right? Like, not our own models, or creating our own interfaces so it works specifically for me, right? So if I say, give me a file, my system instructions for that should say, when I say give me a file, I mean a markdown file, save it to this folder in my drive kind of stuff. Okay, so the chat is talking about a South Park episode, GPT episode. I don't know. Have any of us seen it? Maybe we should. Maybe that's homework, and we should see it. We should see it before we talk about it. But apparently, the most recent South Park episode is about ChatGPT, and they roast it. They're merciless. Maybe is what I read.
That's the whole premise of the show. Is
Yes.
Find a topical thing and roast it. So it doesn't matter what it is.
So they South Parked it is what we're saying,
yeah.
I guess.
Yep, they South Parked it for sure. And I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it. But South Park's usually pretty good about highlighting something they think is off or wrong or and whatever it is, and they're irreverent about it. So I fully expect that. I fully expect them to roast ChatGPT. I fully expect them to roast AI. They've done it about political figures. They've done it about various religions. So if you want strong satire or social commentary, you can watch South Park.
Yeah, great. So Karl, do you have a thing that is buzzing around about AI in your head? What's your latest thing? And you are muted. In this,
I hope.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. Okay. Yep. Not really. I think for me, it was more of, who did I talk to yesterday about this? Do you both know who Brand Nat is?
No.
On TikTok, she's pretty big AI creator there. You must, anyway, if you ever see her,
probably came across the videos, just don't remember the name.
Yeah. So we were talking yesterday, and we were talking about how actual implementation, and one thing that was really clear for me was there was and I'm curious to see your take on this.
Well, one point of clarification: you were having a discussion with them.
We were having a discussion with Natalie, like that's her real name, like Nat, right? Natalie, and we were talking about how, like, say, a couple of days ago, I was doing a discovery session with a land development company, and one of the tasks that one of their admin person does is they actually have to go into probably hours to do this, go into folders and just check if a certain file is there. Like, that's her job, to see if a certain file there, which kicks off another thing of their process, right? So their entire job is to look at folders, because the interdependency of somebody or I think they're on Oracle, and something happens when files are put into these folders, but she needs to check it for something else, right? So I was thinking, how many hours do you spend? She's like, this many hours per month. And I was like, oh, that's a lot. So my immediate thought was, how I would easily solve that for you, like right now, would be to take Claude Code, put it in your terminal, and have it. Yes. And it's not in SharePoint. It's not in Google Drive. It is an internal drive, right? That they're connected to. And then I was like, oh yeah, Claude Code could do it. But I'm like, there's no way IT would even remotely allow us to stick with Claude Code. Not even freaking close.
You were mentioning this yesterday, and IT just doesn't want to build an internal script to do the file checking, because that's it, right? It's just checking if a file is in the right directory.
Yeah, but there's something you have to do with it too. I can't remember what.
Oh, okay.
You
It's
have to
manipulation of the file as well. Oh, okay.
a little bit, because you have to go in there, check it, which then allows her to, based on the file, go do something else.
Mhm.
Right? So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, my Cloud Code can do that. It's not even
Oh,
close.
yeah.
It's like, oh, did you do this, no problems. But I was like, how can, like, having it just kind of was kind of neat to see, oh, we have the technology to solve a lot of
Mhm.
these use cases, but we can't implement it because of outdated um policies and procedures that, I'm not saying that they're bad too. Like, they're there for a specific reason and they have value, but this is why I keep saying I'm very pessimistic about companies adopting AI successfully, again, to 95% MIT study. And it's because of these things. It's part of it is change management, yes, implement, but part of it is you literally have to rebuild your entire business, every single business operation,
Mhm.
not just to add on, but like to redefine it. So that's
Right.
why I've been telling our clients, I think since like a month or 2 months ago, hey, in addition to us adding stuff, I need you to, I know it's hard, but if you were to rebuild this process entirely with AI,
Mhm.
what in your mind would that look like? And blue sky
Mhm.
it, don't hold back,
Right.
just say it, even if you don't know, and we can talk it through. So something like that, right? Like, I could see when she was talking about it, I was like, you're not a big fan of that, are you? And she's like, so this is like the
No.
worst part of my job. Like, I hate doing that, but I have to
Right.
do it.
Right.
And she does, because when I saw how this thing works, she's like, yeah, you have to do it to do this, which leads to this, which the outcome is this. Like,
Right.
if you break that, there's nothing that can allow you to do that. So it's like, oh, I can solve your problem right now, but I
But
can't.
right. And to a certain extent, all of the pieces have been put into place because you're concerned that your human infrastructure is not going to follow, not going to be able to be as secure as the tech security infrastructure that you have put into place in whatever way, right? Like you're doing Salesforce, and so all of it is guaranteed by Salesforce in the cloud. You're doing it through Microsoft, right? Microsoft is doing its own thing for that, but there is a point where that kind of human interface, that you have a human doing a job that is just like, it's a stupid job for a human to do, right? Like, I
Yeah,
mean, that's
is
nuts.
literally kind of like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, right?
And at
So
some point, that is your security conversation. Because it is, I think, never secure to have humans doing something that is obviously stupid, right? So like there's attention problems, there's all those kinds of things. And the other thing, Karl, I'm curious about what you're talking about with your clients, because you're saying, imagine we could build it from the ground up. And what I'm hearing as subtext is because somebody else will, right? I mean, it's going to take longer for the kind of business that is like a contractor business or that kind of thing. But
yeah,
this, right? Like you're using outdated systems that make sense to you. It is possible right now for someone else to walk in with that same knowledge and build from the ground up. And the tech, I don't mean the relationships.
yeah. Because the thing is, though, it's hard to, if you think about it, any business process, it's hard to rethink it being AI centric if you don't know what AI is capable of. And that's the comment that we hear a lot of, essentially since the beginning where we started, is we don't know what the capabilities of AI are. People use it, but a lot of leaders don't have faith that their team were using it to the max capability, and that's been proven true over and over and over again. We know that most people do not use the max. Just our questions alone. Do you use reasoning? Do you use custom GPTs? Do you use projects? Do you use this? Do you pay for, like, those questions alone will determine right away, yeah, your team does not use it. But like we said, most people don't care because either it helps them or it doesn't. The capabilities of a reasoning model, capabilities of an agent mode, capabilities of a gent, whatever it is, it doesn't matter to them. And no one's actually shown, there's no, unless they're on X, which a lot of people aren't, unless they follow shows, it's not apparent. Right. So that's the thing, is like, how would you know how to rebuild something if you don't know what to rebuild it to or how to do it? And I think that's the problem right now in all companies, is that. And so the question, yeah, it's just still that whole piece. Because I don't know if I said it yesterday. I said it to Nat yesterday, and I said, we have all the intelligence we need right now. There's nothing like, what, there's nothing we actually need more. Like, yeah, you can push the benchmarks all the way, but it won't matter, because if we're still at 7%,
right,
and we're pushing now like all the way, none of that means anything to a lot of people outside, our AI bubble.
And that gets us into a little bit of the conversation about the AI winter. Are we at AI winter, right? Sam said it's a bubble. Who released numbers yesterday and their stuff dropped. I can't have been NVIDIA, but somebody, like, there was a bounce down based on numbers released yesterday, and so there's again speculation that, right, like, oh, we're starting to see the bottom fall out. But Nate Jones was saying that this is actually just how startups work, right? Like, startups are a risky business. New tech is a risky business. That doesn't mean that the trajectory is not continuing up. But yes,
yeah, the use case is no longer like, it's no longer about raw intelligence. It's more about true application. And I think I've said this, people have said this, I've repeated it. It's like, we could stop all AI today, it would still take a decade for anything to be used. But that's if we just stop today. We're not stopping today. So I think, like, every single new thing adds and adds and adds to the layer of complexity that people already have. So if you're just stuck on, let's say, custom GPTs, right? Let's say only 25% of companies, I don't even know if that's true, I don't know what the number is, let's say 25% of companies, to get it to 75% probably takes 5 years. 5, maybe 7, I don't know. But that was what, 2023? Forget that. We're into agent mode, whatever. So all the people are like, I don't know what 2023. For us, that's like, if you don't do that, who are you? But for most people are like, I don't know what you could do. I didn't even know you could do that. Right. Like, and then reasoning was on top of that. Now we've forget agent mode is like that concept's so foreign. You're like, what GPT-5, like, I'm going to complain about that, but do you know the power of agent mode? It's actually pretty significant, but we've stopped talking about it. But I have to re-put it. I'm trying to put it into solutions, into companies. But that's like yesterday, which is kind of, I don't know. It's very odd. This whole, we're racing, but we're not racing. I don't know who we're racing with, China, but yeah.
And I think there's a lot of attention spent on, like, the stock market or the market in terms of, like, valuation and putting money into investment and stuff like that. And the market's always been adverse risk adverse to things that they don't understand. And so this is just the cycle of, oh, it's been too long. We haven't seen the kind of returns that other businesses give. So
Correct.
we're
Yes.
going to naysay. And then that goes away. And then it peaks up again. And so it's not stuff. It's all stuff that are like, okay, yeah, whatever. Keep talking. I'm more concerned about the literacy level, the implementation level, like you said. I'm the use cases. We got to, well, let's start implementing. Let's get over those hurdles of, yes, reevaluate the entire process and build it from the ground up.
Okay. But did
sorry.
Did ChatGPT 5 just like give us kind of a comeuppance in terms of that? Because if you are implementing and you're helping people implement things that you built on like the current ChatGPT, then it upgraded to 5 and broke everything, are we better off like, I will build you a custom app, therefore I'm in control?
That's a really good point. Okay, so Beth, here's the thing that I kind of quasi patted myself on the back for doing, but also not doing. So when I see some people build, you were talking about custom GPTs, right? Or any AI solution. I think we're still stuck on building it in the mind of it's definitive. So here's the instructions. This is exactly what I want the output to be, with the concept either implied or subconsciously implied. Let me tell you where I'm going with this. That it will in perpetuity do the exact same thing forever. Because what I'm seeing is like, oh, I built this and now I'm angry that it can't do it. But I was like, for some of my things, and I don't know why I did this, I left room to be like, hey, it could change, so it's not entirely definitive. There's room for flexibility, and it's not designed for 100% output. And I think that's the mistake that we're seeing that some people are making is you have to build your like custom, even a custom build has to be built for what potentially is coming and flexibility in mind, that it can't be purely definitive. Because if something changes, and this is why I sometimes worry about these complex automations, because it's like any kind of change to this, there's a break, because your instructions, if you now like want to put GPT-5, your custom instructions has to change, or else the output probably will mess up somewhat. But if you never have built these ability to be flexible in the span of months, not the span of years, I think that's where some of the breaks from a technological perspective is happening. That's what we've learned, in that when we tell companies, oh, how do you want us to, even training, even anything related to process solution understanding, you have to have that kind of concept in your mind. This thing will change. What I just taught you, prompting 2 years ago or even last year, you have to rethink that, but you have to anticipate that will happen. So you have to kind of build that into your prompt. And maybe that's a concept that's a little bit more advanced, but for most businesses, or when we talk about implementation, you don't have that in mind. IT does not have that in mind. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jyunmi. IT to me we got to set definitive. This is why there's problems with ERP. An ERP is designed to do all these stuff for a definitive. It's definitive and for multiple years, not for 3 months, we're going to change it. But that's where we're going with AI, is your annual budget cycle, your long RFP process. You can't have that, because by the time your long RFP process is complete, that tool you just put in is obsolete. So everything has to change. And I think that is sort of like, that's what's butting heads with everything right now.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting take on the terms of what you're building out your AI solutions for, and particularly this can be specific to like prompts or context, things like that. It's you want to hold on to the rope firmly, but not with a death grip.
Yeah,
And you got to build it out so that you have enough rope so that if it can slip either way a little bit, but still you're holding on to the rope.
yes.
Right. Yeah. I really like that, pointing that out, because one of the suggestions for, when models change or anything like that. Number one, basically to what you were saying, Beth, like the switch to GPT-5, I think overall that was just a poor implementation. They did it wrong. Sam basically said, "Oh, we messed up. We didn't do it the right way."
Yeah.
But also, two is if you're building your own automations or you're building your own agents or whatever your implementation is, you need it to be robust enough to adapt, like you said, adapt to the situation, and whether that might be having a fallback to a different model or a different set of models, your error logging, all of those kinds of things help you to recognize the issue and adapt for it. So I wouldn't necessarily only build something that's going to be, oh, here's GPT-5, but here's how it's going to be on Claude. This is how it's going to be on, on Gemini, all of those kinds of things.
But it's not even that. It's also there's a human component to it, because you have to manage that expectation of this is what's going to do, but you have to keep in mind in a month or 2 or 3 or 4, there will be an update to this. I have no clue what that looks like, but I don't, again, our entire business infrastructure, both mentally and how we build business, doesn't work like that. It doesn't, right? It is not that whole thing. This is why I was saying it's like a true native AI company will wipe the floor with a legacy one.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to adapt to this. Like it's everything, all of this stuff is built in. All the people know, oh, this is what's happening. We're going to accept change because it's change going to happen. Versus a legacy is like, oh, we're going to buy this tool. We have an annual budget. So here's the budget for this tool. And we're kind of stuck doing this versus. So yeah, that is a very, very tough thing for,
well, for any incumbent, definitely, right?
Any incumbent.
And it comes down to the idea of being able to trust something that isn't reliable in the way that we experience tech reliability, right? If something gives answers that if something only works part of the time, it is not reliable.
Yes.
That's just how no, that software crashes. So we're not going to use it. But we need a different paradigm for this, particularly because sometimes it works only part of the time because of the way the user is using it. Sometimes the user is using it as though it's software or a Google search, and it's neither of those things, right?
And it's not an all or none, because I think that's what we see too. If this thing doesn't do what we want it to do all the way, then, oh, this thing doesn't work for me, I'm going to go back to what I'm doing. It's like, no. Why would you go back to what you were doing when it could already do 50% of the way? So don't go back. But I think we're wired. I was like, oh, because this doesn't do everything fully, I'm going to wipe it and I'm going to go back to, but what you were doing is inefficient. This is even better. It's like, no, I don't have time. My brain does not have time to process partial way and have to readjust. Right.
Well, that's a good point. The cognitive load is something that has to be factored in your transformation plan or your change plan, right?
Yes.
It has to be, yes, this is going to cost a little more time, thought, or whatnot. And then, so once you crest that hill, then you're seeing the returns, but you
Right.
still have to build it up before it comes down.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's a capture thing. We talk about cleaning data, but actually capturing your processes is so important for this, because that is the piece that is going to be needed for automation, but it's also the piece that will show opportunities based on new capabilities, right?
Mhm.
Or the process, like often we get the process failed. Excellent. Sorry, right? Not excellent, but let's go
Yeah.
back. Now we have to audit the chain of what happened
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that we can figure out where we're fixing it. If you haven't mapped the chain, that's a very difficult conversation to have at the point
Correct.
where the thing
Yeah.
is no longer working.
Yeah. And I think too, when we talk about, just going back to that example of the person, having to go through files individually, like, I was thinking, okay, if we were to rebuild this entire process for you, because part of that process involves sending an email to person and getting their email approval back. That is literally a process. And I was like, what? How come you don't use DocuSign? And they don't use DocuSign because, for a very good reason, for certain things, like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense. But if you take a couple step backs, this whole process doesn't make any sense at all. But I can see where over time you've built it to accommodate all the things that you need done, and the loopholes, the things that are, oh, okay, all the little things, nuances that you put into it. So it's like, okay, how can we break this completely? If I was to start from scratch, how would we do this? And my thinking is, this is why I'm pessimistic. I don't think you can. Are you all willing to say, yeah, you know what? We're going to stop everything and think about rejigging this.
Okay. Right.
What you're saying isn't that the process can't be broken. I don't think you can break the process.
Yeah, I don't think you have the mental.
Right.
Do you have the fortitude, the will to take this and actually do a true AI native approach? I don't think you can.
Well,
Because it kind of goes to what what we've been talking about is companies are too brittle, right? They might have strong foundations, they might be built tall or wide, but the infrastructure is brittle as opposed to flexible. And I think that might be the shift in mindset of how you have to approach it to be AI native, like you're saying, is you have to be a flexible organization, a flexible infrastructure to your whole system. Your systems need to be flexible.
But you've never needed to do that before.
Yeah.
There's no need to. So why did you have to?
Yeah.
So this is what I mean. It's like a whole industry's. This is, to me, the real disruption, and I think it's a little like kind of theoretical and hard for people to get, because it's like, what? Well, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, no, it's hard for you to say because AI is not native to you. So yes, you can use a ChatGPT, you can use an N8N, you can use all these things to patch or try to try to force an AI into whatever process you have. But fundamentally, you've already built up something that it may no longer be viable.
Right.
I was like, this 10-person company honestly could wipe you out purely on their flexibility. And because they don't, I'm sorry to say, when I see a lot of people in jobs, not who they are, but what they do is the most ridiculous thing I've just hearing the things and listening to what they do, the trudgery, the the make work stuff. And it's not make work because it feeds into what the machine of their business is doing. So it's valuable. But if you look at it from an AI lens, you're like, you can solve that. And that is part of it. I think it's kind of crazy.
And there's a reason why Y Combinator wants to give you $500,000.
Yes, yes.
Well,
Right.
but also you're making me think that that this is a little like, okay, so I had a leg injury, and when I was healing that, all I wanted was to go back to the like what it felt like to
Sure.
walk before the leg injury. And the answer to that was that time doesn't work that way, but also your body has had this. You will always walk with the knowledge that you had a leg injury, right?
Yeah.
You can't undo that. And in that context, these businesses will never move as though they didn't have this history. And the
Correct.
shift is potentially like, they may be like, what I'm hearing in my head is, oh, this is a trauma for those businesses. And
It will be.
a trauma, a
Sure.
trauma impacted business is always going to be in a different place than the just born walk in doing great stuff, didn't need physical therapy for anything, moving forward, hasn't had the experience of like, oh no, catastrophic pain can happen just at any time for you. And like there's an advantage in having gone through trauma and doing that, but you have to acknowledge that that's the situation, right? They have to be able to make the case for why you should still want a business that you can trust, that understands things. This is how they did things before. But you have to be super self-aware of your place in business in this moment. And I'm not sure very many people, businesses are there.
And even if you have the management will, if you have a CEO who's like, yeah, we got to go. There's one company right now, the CEO is continuously calling us, hey, how's it going? Like, I really want to get moving on this. And it's like, yeah, we're trying and we've implemented stuff, but it seems that your team is slow to uptake, and it's not their fault because they're busy doing other things. And so, okay, so even if you have an AI council, AI committee, what we're finding, it's kind of still a band-aid solution, maybe not. We kind of put up a new program for us. We're like, okay, every month we're going to show up to your company, and this is on top of pilots and everything. Is all we do is gather, either meet with a specific team, or we meet with a group of people rep from the team, and we hold you literally accountable. My business partner, which I hate when he does this, but it fits when he says it. I feel cringe when I think about it. It's like, Karl, it's like we're a fitness coach. I'm like, oh God. It's like, yes, we have given you all the tools. Here's the knowledge. Here's the gym membership. Here's the thing. You can't force somebody to actually go do it unless you hold them account to do it. Same thing with a business coach, right? It's like you give them all the business tools, but unless they actually start and do stuff in the business, you can't do anything. So we kind of taking that approach. We're like, we show up to hold you accountable, but also provide you some latest updates and see what's happening. So you are held to account that you have to report back in every month or every 2 weeks. You actually have to do something, because it's so easy for you to not do anything, to go back to checking your folders, because that's what you know.
And I agree with what you're saying, that there needs to be that you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Observing the change as it's happening is the fastest way to incorporating the change, so the change doesn't feel so changey. But if you are banking your competition on being able to get your employees to do things they don't want to do, and your competitor is totally excited because they just built this totally cool thing, like, you're still at a deficit. That there's no competition between those two.
I even tell companies now, it's like, honestly, it's not your competitor using AI. That's not the competition. Who cares about those guys? Sure, you two will eventually get to some place that maybe they'll do it a little better than you. But I'm like, it's really the AI native company that's coming. Like, that is your competition, because all this stuff we talk about, they don't care. They're 10 steps ahead because they don't need to think about this stuff, and they don't have to unwind all this process. So like, I don't know, it took me a while to kind of like get to that like kind of click, because I was so focused on trying to help companies with that, where now it's like, oh, your business is like the foundations of how we build businesses and processes. It's not broken. It's just, it's different than what the AI can do for us. And that's why the people are having the trouble to integrating it, because it's not an ERP, it's not a CRM, it's something. Yeah, you have to fundamentally.
Yeah, it's being able to grasp the concepts that are needed, which are far different than what they have
Very
been
different.
doing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, fascinating conversation. Thanks for everyone who joined. And we will be back next week with great shows Monday through Friday, because we are the Daily AI Show. If you want to continue the conversation, go ahead and join our Slack over at the Daily AI Show community.com. Our newsletter will come out. The Conundrum is now happening on Spotify only, so it's only audio. So if you have not signed up for our audio option, go ahead and grab that. And I think that's it. We're out. Anybody have final things?
Aloha.